Hello there, Pursuing Freedom friends, and thanks as always for being with us today. I'm really excited today, guys. I've got an awesome guest for you. His name is Adam Hergenrother, and I would highly recommend that you go and find him immediately after listening to this podcast because I guarantee you're going to leave this conversation and interview inspired and fired up. Adam has a very successful real estate business in Burlington, Vermont. His team is number 4 in the US. He also has a construction and development company. He is a best-selling author of an incredible book called The Founder and the Force Multiplier, which we'll talk about here. And he's the host of one of the top podcasts, Business Meets Spirituality. If you know me, you know that I'm going to love this conversation, Business Meets Spirituality. That's so incredible. So with no further ado, Adam, let's jump in. I want to first and foremost just want to thank you for being here with us today.
Well, thanks, Aaron, and thank you for doing this. People don't realize how much time and energy goes into putting all of this on to bring value to your listeners. So I just wanted to thank you for serving and helping everybody else as well. So thanks for allowing me to come on.
I appreciate it. I appreciate you taking the time, and I'm so excited to dive right in. So tell us a little bit about your backstory. I know you've got a really transformational story to share with us from the young days of Adam Hergenrother, and then we'll kind of roll from there and how your journey has unfolded.
I gotta say, I'm impressed that you can say my last name. It took me till like high school to figure out how to say it. So that's pretty awesome that you're already way ahead of the game.
Yeah.
It's awesome. So, up until I was about 16 years old, I was about 100 pounds overweight. Towards the end of that period of time, I started getting into drugs. I was failing classes. Honestly, I was that role model kid that you wanted your kid to hang out with, right?
Yeah.
And one day I was so insecure about myself. I can look back and say it now. I'd use food as a way to feel certainty and comfort and whatever it was. And I was just really insecure with myself. And freshman in high school, I was about 16. I came home one day, Aaron, and I just had this deep move. There's a deeper place within you, not the mind, deeper place in you that said, this is not what your life is supposed to be about. And I didn't know what it meant. I didn't know anything like that. I just knew that there was this pushing me forward. And so I started crying, and I cried literally all night long. And I figured that like I needed to do something different in my life. My dad who came in, and of course being a father figure, heard me crying at like midnight, came up there and he said, what's wrong? And I said, I'm just going away type one of things, whatever it is. And he said, you have two choices. You can do something about it or you can just accept it. And he left. And I was like, wait, right. Nice pep talk. But, and he was right though. And so then I said, I am going to do something about this. So the next day I literally stopped hanging out with every single one of my friends. I lost 100 pounds within a year. I turned my kind of life around, but I was also in this weird period where in high school, I was leaving one group who then, by the way, ended up stealing all of my stuff 2 weeks later, and the cops were involved. It was horrible. Like they were bad people.
Oh my gosh.
So I was kind of in this mid piece, and then I got into sports, and then that's why health and fitness is so important to me. That's what my foundation works on a lot as well too, because it helped give me an ability to build emotional fitness, to start guiding and changing my life the way I wanted to. And I can say it better now than that's happening. And so kind of fast forward, that was kind of my pivotal kind of moment, if you will, in high school that said, you're not going to live somebody else's life. Nobody's going to put a box in you. You need to go experience this for yourself. And then we kind of fast forward a little bit. When I was in college, it didn't come easy to me. I'm not really that great intellectually. I'm not even that smart, period. And so I was, going, and I had to get certain grades in order to participate. And I did. And I worked harder than everybody else did. So I learned a lot of work ethic. But there's something that happened in high school that was really pivotal for me. I had a friend, maybe some of you guys can relate to this, who was in school but wasn't in school, who like lived in my room. And his father owned a car dealership, and he came into me one day and he said, "Look, Aaron, I think we can buy this car for $1,000. We can fix it up and probably double our money." And I had like $600 in my bank account. He said, "I need $500." And I was like, "Dude, that's like all my money." He goes, "Yeah." He goes, "I know, but I think we can do this." So I gave him $500. About a week later, he came back and said, "Dude, we sold this thing for like $3,500. We made like $2,000. It was the first time I felt leverage. It was the first time I never saw a car. I never did any of the work. I just invested my own money, and we got a huge return in college. So I was like, we're going out, right? Like, this is awesome.
Yeah.
I ended up doing this for about a year. I ended up accumulating $60,000, $70,000. Then I also learned the value of contracts, because he instantly said, "Well, I don't need your money anymore, thanks." And so we learned that process. But I ended up taking that money and then rolling it over. When I was a junior in college, I bought my first piece of real estate. And that was 2003, to put a stamp on this, right when the market was kind of heating up. And so I bought a pre-construction unit. And then when I graduated, I re-rented it, and we weren't supposed to be renting it, which we'll come back to in a second. And it was like the prices were going up 10-15% every year. So I'm like, no wonder why everyone's in real estate. I'm like right out of college, and like this you buy a piece and just increases every year, but like $10,000-$15,000. I was like, this is the easiest thing in the world, right? I didn't know any different.
So easy. That's what we all think.
So easy. It's so easy. And then all of a sudden, my mortgage got called by a company called CTX. I don't know if you remember them way back in the day. They were around a broker company. They found out I was renting it, and they got it called. So this was kind of my first experience to folding life. I've never heard of anybody getting their note called. They called it on me. So I actually had to force to sell it. So I sold it in December in 2005. About 3 months later, everything hit and crashed. My sale was the highest sale all the way until about 2014. So at the time, I was pissed. I was fighting life. Why did this happen? We ended up selling for a huge profit. And then, of course, to come to find out, life was actually helping me. It wasn't folding against me. It was helping me for me. So kind of fast forward, I bought some more real estate. That's kind of how I got into it. I actually had worked on Wall Street. I was a commercial underwriter. So I got into underwriting a lot of real estate deals and things. That's kind of how I got into selling real estate, because I started underwriting all these deals. And I'm sitting there going, I at first, before, and maybe some people experience this, is like, I thought these people were like inhuman, like they were like these gods or something. And then I would meet with them, and I'm going, well, hold on, right? And if there's anything anybody gets from this 30 minutes that we have together, is maybe go, well, if Adam can do this, then I definitely can, right? So I kind of realized that, and I said, I'm going to go after this. So I quit my job in the worst real estate market, and I got into selling real estate, and we can kind of take it from there. But here's the interesting thing. I had this financial goal. At this time, I was not who I am today. I was very hubris. I thought the world should bow down to me. I was accomplishing all these external events. And I had this income goal of making about $500,000 in income. When I was 26 years old, I hit that number. And there was this is about 10 years after I had my first kind of big experience when I was 16. So I'm 26. I'm sitting at my table with my mom at the time. And my mom's the most unassuming person. She could care less about money or anything like that. And I said, hey, Mom, you know what? Like, I made about $500,000 in income this year. And she's like, oh, great, pass the ketchup. And in that moment, I realized that people don't care, one. And two, me chasing something externally was never going to give me the feeling that I was actually looking for. In fact, it was making it worse, because every time I got something that my mind told me that I needed to get, it actually made me feel worse because I didn't feel whole and complete. So I didn't know what to do with all that. So then I kind of woke up and said, man, I'm achieving the success. Like, what's wrong? But I'm suffering inside. I'm miserable. Like, I'm like, externally, I'm fine. I'm putting on a smile and a 7-piece suit. And I'm like, but inside I'm suffering. I don't feel good inside. I'm trying to make this okay by doing something, by changing people, places, and things. And so that point triggered me to go into a much more inward depth. And that's kind of been the last 13 years of my life, has been this inward journey. And I developed this kind of saying during that time when I was 26. I'm 38 now. So 12 years. And it was like, business is this conduit for my own personal growth. I want to achieve. I love building things. I love all these things that are there. But ultimately, I want it because I want the lessons that come with it. I want the success lessons. I want the challenging lessons. And so I started making my life about really embracing the experience and not labeling them good or bad, and started going in that inward direction first. Because if you're first whole and complete, then anything you do in the external world just becomes fun. Then you can maybe become the president. Maybe you build $1 billion company. Maybe you become a millionaire. Maybe become a bus driver. It doesn't matter anymore, because you're already, everything people are doing for and searching for outside, they're doing to try to make themselves feel better inside. Your highest need that you have is the need that you put in the forefront. And the need that you have is you're thinking that it's going to make you feel, and I say feel, that energy rush inside is going to make you feel better about yourself. And the problem is, it works for a week or two or three. And then people go, well, it's over. So then our entire culture says, well, once that's over, then you go change your need. Now go do something else. And you end up playing this entire game your entire life. And I had this awareness that, like, there's nothing wrong with that. It just doesn't work. It just doesn't work. And so I paused and I said, you know what? I need to make my life about other people, about serving. And we can get into that. But ultimately, that's honestly when my organizations We're at 450 plus people now. We did $1 billion in sales. We've got a bunch of things going on. Really started to grow positively when I actually made the change. So you actually get both. And I'll just stop because I just talked for a while.
Well, no, I mean, there's so many things we can unpack here. And I actually am writing this down because you actually get both is such a huge piece of the puzzle. In terms of, I mean, I'm sure you would agree that it's fear that compels us to want more and more and more, because once we've achieved something, now it's like we worked so hard to get here, then there's this fear of losing it. But there's also what I've seen, especially in the real estate industry, is that most successful real estate agents that I know and I'm friends with, lenders too, entrepreneurs in general, are servant hearts at their core, like caring individuals. And so if you experience any level of like uncertainty and struggle as you're getting your business off the ground, and all you want to do is help people, and then you achieve some level of success, it's the fear of letting others down that also compels you to just push through and just survive it and suffer through and suck it up and just keep going. And so there's this, I think it's interesting that you say you actually get both, that like when you were willing to do the internal work, it wasn't in exchange for the financial success. It was that the financial success came as a result of you being in alignment with who you are as a human being. So you ended up getting both. You found fulfillment and this crazy byproduct of like the external success, that other people just look at the external success and they don't realize that that's just not enough. You can't just pursue the financial success or the deals and the whatever, the level and being number one, and you want all the accolades, and you think that when you get to that, then you're going to find the happiness. But if you're not feeling it on the inside, then people don't know that there's many, many, many people that are successful that look like someone you want to admire, and inside they're suffering.
Yeah. You said it very well there. And there's two things to unpack. Business meets spirituality came because I wrestled with that question for years. I said it in about 38 seconds, but the reality is it took me years to reconcile that, because I was fighting with the fact that I don't want to go lay in a cave to be spiritual. Yet I don't want to be business-wise without a centered feeling of inner peace. Right. And so that's what I said, you don't have to choose. You don't have to go be in a cave to have peace while building a business. And so that's where it came together. Fear, on the other hand, by the way, let's just unpack this. Fear itself is irrelevant. Let me just explain this. When people are fearful, what they're really saying is something in my mind is causing fear. And then what happens is your mind gets a hold of the fear and starts projecting an imagination about what could happen. Mm-hmm. And when that projects that imagination, you're then caught. You who is in there is now absorbed with the imagination of what could happen in some future event. I got to hold it together. I can't let people down. What if I lose this deal? It's fear because of what could happen. There's no difference. I love sharing this with people. There's no difference to you. If you ever had a kid and your child is lying in their bed and they call you in and say, Mom or Dad, hey, there's a monster in the closet. And you go, there's no monster in the closet. You go, yes, there is. I feel him there. And you grab their hand, you walk over the closet, and you open up, you say, see, there's no monster. What we're doing with fear is no different. It's no different at all. You just use your mind. A trigger comes in and you start getting fearful. By the way, you didn't think of it consciously. It just showed up and you get fearful. Then you go to your mind and your mind goes, oh, what if that happens? I need to do this. I do that. And then all of a sudden you're not even experiencing anything. And by the way, 90% of those thoughts never even come true. It just unfolds for it. You just now became and suffered because your mind imagined. If you're actually in a fearful situation, the other day I had a camp in the mountains and I was running and there was this massive black bear that came out and it was like 100 yards away from me. In that moment, there was a little bit of fear. I didn't instantly go, I wonder what could happen if that bear got a hold of me. No, when you're actually in a fearful situation, you just act, right? Fear shows up and you act. You don't ever stop and go, I wonder if I don't swerve out of the way of this car, if they hit me, I wonder what could happen. No, you just act. And so fear, primal fear, has a reason. Psychological fear is just something that we do to try to make ourselves feel okay because we can't handle the disturbance that happens inside us. Disturbance is that feeling of hollowness or lonely or anxious or energy or anger or jealousy or any of those things. So then we go to the mind and say, mind, fix me. And the mind goes, okay, because your mind is just a tool. Your mind is just like your car. You don't go to your mind and say, Aaron doesn't walk into their car and say, car, tell me who I am. But that's what people do to their mind. So all the conversation of mindfulness, waking up, the power of now, people are throwing that around. They just don't understand what it means. What it means is I'm no longer going to allow myself to be absorbed by the thinking patterns of my mind, and I'm going to be present in the moment because I don't need to go to my mind to make myself feel okay. When somebody feels angry, their mind goes, all right, Aaron, you're angry, but you know what? You're better looking than that person. You're more fit than that person. You can do that over there. I don't know why they would do that. They're 5 years older than me. And you do it until you get enough check boxes in your column to win. And then you go, see, I feel better. So the reason why we do that is because we couldn't handle the actual experience itself. So then we go to the mind and say, mind, this is deep. So I'm sorry if I'm going this deep on it, but
no, I love it.
The mind goes, I will fix that. I will make it okay for you. And that's what it does. And that's what fear is. Fear is something, by the way, 90 to 95% of your thoughts just show up, don't they? Those negative thoughts, all those thoughts, and it's a whole other episode we can talk about why people have negative thoughts. But all of those, they just show up. You're driving down the road, or you're in a great mood, and all of a sudden this negative thought pops up. You didn't go, okay, cue negative thought. No, It just showed up, right? Then your mind goes, oh, I don't like the way that feels. And then it starts talking to you. It's talking to you. The fact that you're in there listening to the mind displays a subject-object relationship, meaning that if people think they're their thoughts, that's the problem. If you were your thoughts, you wouldn't know that you have thoughts. A fish doesn't know it's in water because it's in water. If you even by the time the 20 minutes we've been talking, the listener has probably had 15,000 thoughts or whatever it is, right? Each thought is different, which shows you that you are not your thought because the thought you just had is no longer there. I don't deny the fact that instantaneously another thought came in, but the only reason why you become your thoughts is because you electrify it with your consciousness. All right, I'm just going to pause. I'll just keep going.
Oh my gosh. Well, first of all, I want to talk about something that you're cracking me up about, the fact that you were running near your cabin in Vermont and a bear came across your path, because just yesterday I went for a run and I'm running through a trail and this huge moose is like not even 100 yards away. I'm talking right there through the trees, right there. And I mean, I bolted like as fast as possible. And the interesting thing, what you said about the primal fear compels you to act, is that what I always say to my coaching clients is the psychological fear is an indication to act as well. And the interesting thing is you started out this talk by saying that when you were 16 years old and your dad came in your room and he said, well, you can either do something about it or accept it. Like that to me is the fundamental. It may have not have felt like a great pep talk, but it's fundamental to the way that we either take the wheel of our life and we wake up and we decide that whatever isn't serving us will be no longer, because we can choose to create a different outcome regardless of what the psychological fear that's holding us back. Or if we choose not to act in spite of our fear, which is also a choice, then in essence what we're doing is we're just settling for what is, which is unacceptable, right? So it's like your dad saying you can either do something about it or accept it. That to me is a simple way and an eloquent way of just saying, look, we all have fear. I mean, there's nobody that you admire anywhere in the world that doesn't have negative thoughts and doesn't have fear and insecurity. So I think that sometimes people feel stuck and they look at somebody they admire or somebody that's got some results or some lifestyle that they would like to have. And then they say, I'd like to have that, but, and then all the insecurity and the doubts and the stories pop up and hold them back from taking action. But in reality, that person has fear too. They've just made a conscious choice to act in spite of their fear.
Or not listen to it, right?
Right.
Yeah.
I mean,
let go.
Like I was just on a coaching call yesterday. I was talking to some clients and I was like, look, you're not going to wake up one day. You're uncomfortable with video. I get it. You don't want to embrace video as part of your business strategy, even though we all know that video is part of the future and it is what it is. And we also know that you and I seeing each other right now is a much deeper connection than if I called you on the phone and we did this audio only. Like I can feel your energy, your enthusiasm, your passion because I can see you. And there's a deeper relationship that can form through video than simply making a phone call or sending a text or hiding behind social media posts. But my point is that I was saying to them, I'm like, look, I get it. You have fear. You're uncomfortable. Bringing this down to the tactical level for real estate agents, it's like, you're not going to wake up one day and all of a sudden you're just like, today is the day. I'm camera ready. Let's do this, world. I'm going to just jump out there and I'm just going to crush it. Like you have to just decide, are you going to act in spite of your fear today? Or are you going to accept it and settle and have the same lifestyle, the same results a year from now? I mean, whether you act in spite of your fear today, or you wait a year, or you wait 5 years, it's still going to be you who makes the decision to act. Nobody's going to do it for you.
Yeah. Yeah. You know what's really cool too is when you wake up and realize that you actually need nothing in life and you can enjoy everything, you become the most fierce business competitor out there because you're no longer making decisions based on personal issues. You're making decisions what's best for the organization, and there's no fear that holds you back. Doesn't mean that the spray or fear, the emotion kind of shows up sometimes. You just don't let it strain. You don't let it hold you. You just let go of it. And I'm telling you, it'll make you the best business person that you can be, whatever that means and wherever that gets you to. But the minute you realize you don't need anything in life, right? You just don't. That's actually the cause of all suffering is needs. And we don't have to get into the whole thing because it triggers a lot of people. But what if you woke up tomorrow and you actually didn't need anything? How much would there be any fear? Besides primal, there would be no fear. You would literally walk around and go, oh, I'll do that. It's awesome. You just felt high and complete and whole, enthusiasm and love, and just you're sharing it. And I always tell people, look, the highest you've ever felt, maybe in a brand new relationship, and you were just absorbed with love, and it was just passion, it was going through you, and you felt amazing. It didn't matter what you were doing or who you were with or what your job was or where you are, you just felt so amazing. Imagine if you can multiply that times 1,000,000 and it keeps getting stronger every day. It's called ever new joy. It just keeps going stronger and stronger. That's available to everybody. And once you get there, then playing in the physical world is just playing in the physical world. If you're a spiritual being having a minor physical experience, because if I said, look, you're not your thoughts. If I were to take your arm off, I would say, Aaron, are you still in there? You say, yes, you're still in there. So you're not your body. You're the one witnessing life. You're the experience. You're experiencing everything. So if you're truly the experiencing everything, then there really is no good or bad. They're just different experiences. And yes, a rattlesnake feels different than a butterfly. A very good profitable month feels different than when you're trying to figure out how to make payroll. A lawsuit feels different than a great balance sheet. Yes, they feel different. They're different experiences. They're supposed to. That's the point of you being here. The cosmos has been around for 14 billion years. I'm sure you can handle 100 of them spinning around. But yet we can't. Then we get in our mind and say, no, I've created this self-concept, this self-identity, and now I have to hold on to it. We spend all of our energy trying to hold on to something we feel like we need to control. It's just an illusion. It's going to be gone anyways. So just when you wake up and you die before you die, or you let go, or, when you get back to this mindfulness, you just let go of it all and you realize I can go play in the physical world. And for you, the listeners, is probably in the business world. You're playing in business. Therefore, you go out there and you're making the most clear decisions. You have the most clear vision. You can take your ideas and bring them into the physical world because of all the energy, and you're using your mind as this tool, consciously using it to create strategic business plans, to write books, to use words, to be creative on this podcast. That's the whole point of your mind. When you're operating, first being and then doing. The doing world, if you operate in the doing world, you will never, ever be satisfied. Every experience that you ever had, you want more of. Every experience you ever had, you want more of. If it was a good experience, you want more of that. If it was a bad experience, you want less of it. So you always want more of something, less of something, or more. So when you wake up and realize this, it doesn't work. So then you go, okay, I'm first going to be centered, then I'm going to play in the world. It's not renouncing life. It's actually accepting it, then playing in the world, and nothing will then prevent you from maximizing your opportunity here.
So I'm obsessed with you. I'm just going to say that, not in a romantic way. I'm happily married, but Adam, I'm obsessed with everything that you're saying. I could not agree more. And I know that I'm going to leave this podcast feeling high and reinvigorated personally. And I hope that all the listeners are too. I absolutely love what you talked about when you said that, what if you needed nothing? And this, I love the expression of ever new joy. It's completely random, but I actually wrote in my journal this morning, as I was just kind of like unloading my thoughts, as I do every morning, positive, negative, whatever's on my mind, like got to get it out of your brain so that your brain can process, because we're not supposed to be a storage. Your brain's not a storage unit. It should be processing. But I wrote, life is not a destination I am chasing. It is now, every moment. And in terms of like first being and then doing, I know for me that when we first went into quarantine, I mean, I'm an extremely social person. I get energy from people, right? And I was a little nervous. It was a little unsettling at first, because I was like, is it gonna be enough to be at home, just my husband and two kids, and like, how will I have all the joy that I'm used to getting from others, right? And it didn't take me very long to realize that, like, my goal needs to be more about being. Who do I want to be? Who am I today? And how am I showing up for myself first, and then for my loved ones, and then for the rest of the world, right? And so, the first being, first doing is incredible. One thing I want to ask you is, it's kind of a two-part question. First part is, how long would you say you allowed yourself, or you tried to convince yourself to ignore this burning sensation to turn your attention inward instead of external? Like, how long did you go on being like, it's fine, I feel out of alignment, but it's fine, I mean, the money's great, the business is doing awesome, it's fine, like, kind of quieting the inner voice that was telling you, hey man, I'm over here, like, tap into your center. How long did you go on, like, before you woke up, if you will?
Yeah. Yeah. To answer your question before that too, when you said, you're determining, I think the question you really ask, and you can tell that you're deep and you're working a lot on this in your inner journey as well. And you can feel that in you have a yearning for authenticity, which is awesome. The question that I think you and listeners, and the question I always ask myself is, who is the one who experiences this? Who is the one who experiences lonely? Who is the one who needs to be around people? Who is the one who meditates? Who is the one who can't be in stillness? And the thing is you sit down in isolation where people are right now and have been for a while. Why can't you just be? Why can't you sit for 30 minutes? You can't sit because you're not okay. And so if you just watch that, you're witnessing that. And so I always just try to bring people to saying, you're in there. Who are you? How do you explain who you are? Yes, you're a woman or a physical, and you can talk about your name and all this stuff, but who are you? And when you actually ask that deeper question, it's an intuitive one, and you just sit with it. A question I love to ask people is like, before you answer it with your mind, how old are you? What were you doing before you came into this physical world? And there's a sense that you go, there's a knowing, isn't there? And you can't explain it, because you can't explain who you are. That's why I believe that we're consciousness, God, heaven, whatever you want to call it, created the physical world, because when you're it, and you can't experience it. So then you come into the physical world to experience yourself, experiencing yourself. So just kind of hit that. To answer the second question you asked there, though, there was a driving force that was inside me, and I think it just pushed really fast. It pushed me to when I was 16 to get into a tremendous amount of pain. And that pain then said, I need to change. And the same kind of push, I think, the success that I had was drive, ego, all that stuff, but there's also something in there that has said, get to this level. And I think people sometimes need to get there and then go, this doesn't work. And when that question came in, it wasn't like the question came to my mind. It was this behind the mind, this sense of, this is not you. This is not feel good. And then that's what woke you up. It wasn't my mind that I'm going to is just a computer based on experiences. It was a deeper sense that said, go inward. Don't do this. And it was like this booming voice way from behind there. And that's when I had that moment in the kitchen table with my mom. I go, wow, this is not it. This is definitely not life. This is not what life is supposed to be like. And I reminded myself that I've been here before when I was 16 and I made the change. And so now I need to make the change again. And then it's just been a long journey. Understand this is hard. This inward journey is harder than making money. It's harder than any relationship. It's harder than anything you'll ever do. but it's ultimately the reason why you're here is to evolve your soul. Every experience that you get the opportunity to experience, by definition, was an experience that you needed to have. Why? Because you've had it. If you've had it, you needed to have it. And if you truly experience it, then it is fuel for your soul. It makes you enriches your soul because you now are a greater being because of the experience. I didn't say the experiences you want. I said the experience. And so once you're interacting with the moment and you're in the flow or the zone, you're now experiencing everything that's unfolding for you. And it becomes this wonderful gift. And you wake up and you look at life and you go, I get up because I'm fine. Why am I fine? Because I'm fine with anything that happens because I'm just here experiencing life. Experience it for me. And then you become a fierce business competitor, all of those things. It's just an amazing place to operate from. And I hope people get that and move to that place.
Well, I mean, it comes back to the reason I asked you the question about like, how long did you allow yourself to stay stuck and things like that is that, I feel like I allowed myself to stay stuck for a long time, for years, where I was, from the outside looking in, living the life of my dreams, having the things and even the experiences, like even, the amount of time camping with the family or the amount of time skiing, all the things, right? But I don't necessarily know that I was awake, if that makes sense. Like I was physically present in a lot of amazing experiences that I'm like, I had that experience. But what you're talking about is actually like you're saying interacting with that experience, like interacting with the experience. There's a difference between, those experiences that I've had versus like if experiencing the actual experience that I've had the gift of doing. And most recently, thanks to this forced pause, like it's been an awakening for sure that, ultimately it came down to like, it was in recent years that I think I was always afraid of what other people would think if I quote unquote, threw it all away when it comes to like, okay, well, I'm going to pivot and I'm really excited about, pursuing freedom to make an impact on other people's lives. But I've got this mortgage business, and am I going to compromise that? And there's a lot of fear there. You know what I mean? And so ultimately what ended up happening, which is what you said earlier, is that you actually get both. When I said it out loud, this is who I am, and this is what I want to experience, and this is who I want to be as a human being, and as a wife, as a mom, as a friend, etc. Then what ended up happening was I didn't lose any of the things I feared I would lose as a result of being honest with myself and the world. It's both. So the business has continued to grow, but the joy has grown, like you said, tenfold or a millionfold or whatever. The joy in living the moment and living in this life and being here today and not chasing a life that's somewhere in the future, but actually waking up to the life you already have. So it's really powerful stuff. Before we go, I do want to take this down to like, if you could give specifically one thing that you've done to support this journey for yourself. I know for me, it's been the morning routine. And when I wake up in the morning, regardless of what time, not so much about what time you wake up, but like how you start your day. A lot of us wake up and we have thoughts, we have emotions. We might feel stressed or tired or, overwhelmed or uncertain or nervous or angry or whatever, right? And so that time in the morning, that pause, the reflection, the journaling, it's like all of a sudden I shift and then I can see things more clearly. And then the joy comes and the excitement and the enthusiasm and the passion and everything flows from there. So like, do you have any advice in terms of like, if someone's listening and they think, oh, well, Adam and Aaron, they're just positive, optimistic people, so this is easy stuff. And it's like, it's not easy stuff. It's intentional. So what advice could you share with somebody to say, here's something you could start here?
Yeah. Well, first, spirituality isn't changing what you do. It changes what part of you is doing it. And that's something for people to always remember. Doesn't mean you change your real estate, your career, and what you're doing in serving clients. Just like you said before, it's what part of you is actually doing the activity. Is it your mind or is it you experiencing it? For me, I spend about 3 to 4 or 5 hours a day on personal development, and I have for a long period of time. I get up pretty early, between 3 and 4, sometimes 4:30, depending on the time. And I have a whole series of journaling. I've done podcasts and blogs on it. So you can, if people want to see what my routine is for that. I also meditate twice a day. Meditation, I always joke with people, is like my gateway drug
Mhm.
into like the inner world, because
Yeah.
what it did, you know what it did actually, this may help somebody to bring it up a couple levels, is when I started meditating, I realized in the first couple of meditations, I was like, who's this voice inside here? And that's all it does. I was like, I'm trying to meditate. All I do is listen to his voice. Like, you shouldn't be meditating. You should be doing this. You need to be working over here. And I'm going, well, I was like, whoa, who's that talking? And that
Yeah.
was kind of like the awakening, like a clarity or more awakening moment of like, wow. So I don't care. There's so many techniques about meditation now. Just go find one that plenty of room for you to find yours that works for you. I honor anybody that's working on themselves. So whatever that means, whatever level, maybe it's reading your first book, listening to the first podcast, or just sitting down and trying to just be aware that you can't sit for 5 minutes without a thought coming in, right? Like I always joke people, try to count to 100, see how far you can get without a thought disrupting it, right? And so start off, first of all, the night before you go to bed, of course, that's what you do, right? The night before you go to bed, right? Before you go to bed, most people get very clear with what time they want to get up in the morning, right? Like they go, okay, Aaron, we're getting up 5 o'clock, right? You set clear, you're there, you're operating from that place. But then 5 o'clock comes around, and instantly when you gain that level of consciousness, your mind goes, oh, you can sleep in, you can do this thing. So the thing I would love to teach people just to take away from this is, I don't care what time you set to get up. It could be 5, 4, 8 o'clock, but whatever time you decide to get up, when the alarm clock goes off, you have got you, who's in there, has got to take control of the mind. So when the mind goes, oh, sleep in, you go, no, I got this. And you get up. Now all of a sudden you're in control. Then instead of most people wake up and their alarm clock's going off and they hit snooze. And now all of a sudden they become victim to their mind running their life, or like to stick an eye in there, ruining their life. Because now they're just listening to it. Eli Cupid, the guy who broke the marathon record for under 2 hours, which is incredible. He has a really cool quote. He said, oh man, I'm trying to remember it. He said, only the disciplined ones in life are free. Everybody else is a slave to your moods and your passions. And really, the discipline comes from you exercising your will. Otherwise, you just do what you want to do when it's convenient. Or, hey, I'm going to get up when it is. It's fun to go take a run when it's 70 degrees out and sunny. But what about 4 o'clock in the morning when it's raining out? So start your day off by owning it. Own your morning. Own your day. And so by owning it, the first decision is got to be under your control. So when you decide to get up, when the alarm clock goes off, just get up. Within a minute of you getting up, you're fine. So just fight through the minute. Start taking control. People call it emotional fitness. They call it willpower. Whatever it is, start exercising that, because that's going to give you the ability to add and layer on all of these additional remedies and techniques. And techniques are amazing. But techniques are like you are traveling from Denver to Boston in an airplane, and you have 3 kids. I don't know if you have 3 kids. You have 3 kids. In order to keep them occupied during that, you give them an iPad or a movie or a book or something. That's what techniques are. Techniques are designed to keep you on the path long enough to get to your destination. So whatever technique you need to do it and keep making it there, and keep understanding there's another layer that you can get to from that inner world. So just own your inner part. Say yes when you get up. Just get up and just start your day from there.
Awesome. Well, I know that we could geek out for hours on this stuff, clearly. And I'm sure the listeners are feeling as inspired as I am. And I really appreciate you. And listen, guys, Adam has tons and tons of content out there. If you are just dying to consume more, which I'm sure you are, make sure that you go and find his podcast, Business Meets Spirituality. It's such a unique and compelling voice that I feel like our world is just hungry for. And it's not about, okay, well, it's, can I be successful, or can I be spiritual or in alignment or whatever? It's both. It's finding the joy in living the life of your dreams, powered by this business success that comes as a byproduct of you and your passion and your joy and your authenticity. So I love everything that Adam is doing for the world and putting out there. So highly encourage you guys find him. Adam, if folks want to follow you on Instagram or wherever, like, where are you and how do they get in touch with you?
Best place to go to is go to adamhergenrother.com, and maybe in your show notes, you can put the name there. And it links us to everything, podcast experience. We have over 100 free online training events that are there and recorded. So just go take a look at the website.
Awesome. I love it. Thank you so, so much, Adam. I really
Thank you.
appreciate you. All right, make it an awesome day. And to all my Pursuing Freedom friends, I love and appreciate you as always. If you need access to additional resources to help you on your journey, hop over to pursuingfreedom.com/resources or follow me on Instagram at Pursuing Freedom Official. There's lots of free trainings and great information that I share that I find from amazing people like Adam. And as always, I would implore you, if you're enjoying this content, please be sure to find the little pencil wherever you are consuming the content and leave a review, because it helps us continue to attract awesome people like Adam to the show and continue to support you on your journey to building a life you don't need a vacation from. I love and appreciate you. Make it an awesome day.